24 hours ago, the Harwich Mariners returned to White House Field in a do-or-die game with the Brewster Whitecaps, looking to lock down the Eastern Division's second playoff spot and emerge victorious today. The vibe is a lot more loose here at Eldridge Park as the Mariners get set to take on the Orleans Firebirds for the first time in several weeks. Hello, everybody. Tyler Henry on the call, joined here by Tim Foley. And Tim, it seems like it's been forever since the Orleans Firebirds and Harwich Mariners met for a baseball game. It's finally happening again, but the stakes could not be much lower here. Harwich right now sitting in that second postseason spot. The Firebirds have already been eliminated. Really, the only thing the Mariners can hope to do after Brewster won today is win out and see if the Whitecaps can drop their final two games of the season. If they do that, they could get home field for the playoffs. If not, they will be the 2 seed. But any way you want to slice it, Harwich is postseason bound here in 2021.
Yeah, at this point, it's really just becoming a balancing act. You know, how much do you want to try to, how much emphasis do you want to put on really trying to secure home field advantage when it's not so much in your hands as opposed to making sure that the guys you have who have been in the lineup nearly night in and night out all season long, you want to make sure their rest come these first few games against Brewster starting this weekend. So it'll be a balancing act between that. I think the way Harwich is going to lean towards is trying to rest more of their guys. They have a few of their big bats out of the lineup tonight. We'll talk a bit about that. And so we'll just see how these next few games go for Harwich, but has to feel very good for this team knowing they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, certainly a different vibe around that dugout, a different vibe out in the bullpen. It seems like guys are a little more relaxed. They can kind of take it easy a bit here. And again, not that there's nothing to play for, but the Mariners have locked up that all-important second seed. Let's take a look at the Mariners lineup here on the road at Eldridge Park. Press Kavanaugh steps into the batter's box right now. He'll play right field, followed by center fielder Chris Newell, first baseman Dylan Phillips, and DH Carter Putz in the cleanup spot today. First offering in there for called strike to Press Kavanaugh. In the 5-hole, it'll be third baseman Josh Hood, followed by shortstop Zach Preisner, catcher Brendan Tinsman, left fielder Jake Lazaro, and second baseman Matt McDermott. All of these guys will face Nathan Florence of the Firebirds, who delivers his second pitch, and that'll miss just off the plate for a ball to even the count at 1-1. Florence, a righty, working right now from the windup, sets and delivers his third offering of the day. Kavanaugh Kavanaugh puts this into play, drifting out into left field, and that will be caught out there by Castillo for out number 1. That'll give us a chance to take a look at the Orleans Firebirds defense. Chavis gets the start behind the dish. It'll be Harmon at first, Chatinier at second, Julio Marcano at short, Tyler Locklear, your starting third baseman today. Costello in left, Jace McKenzie in center, and Chase DeLauder, your starting right fielder for Orleans in this one. That'll bring up Chris Newell, still trying to work his way comfortably back into the lineup here. And Newell, obviously a huge part of this Harwich Mariners team, Tim, and you know, things were looking good. His first appearance back, he had that big home run. Since then, it's been a little bit slower. Good call to have his bat back in the lineup and try to get him rolling heading into the postseason.
Yeah, definitely. With these last few games, it's really going to be a tune-up for Newell, who was out for a bit over a week out of the lineup. So it'll be interesting to see how he's able to bounce back these next few games after having a good start in his return, but it's about sustaining.
He takes a ball and a strike to start this at bat, and now he'll chop one to short. It'll be scooped up by Marcano, throw across in time for the second out of the inning. That brings up Dylan Phillips, who had a huge day yesterday. Taking a look at his numbers, obviously the 2 RBI single to give the Mariners what would eventually be a 4-run fourth inning and their first victory this year over the Whitecaps. And it's just got to feel good, Tim, going forward, knowing that, again, Harwich not only beating Brewster, but able to take a team that they had been unable to score on previously, realistically, and putting up 11 on them in that one. First offering to him in there for a called strike.
No, it definitely feels like Harwich has a bit of a laundry list when it comes to what they want to take care of down the stretch here. And they checked off 2 big boxes in getting wins over both Bourne and Brewster this past week as the next pitch is swing on by Phillips. And so I'm not personally quite sure what else this team is really in need of at this moment. Of course, pitching is such a huge aspect that this team knows they need to work on, but they really need to feel comfortable with where they are mentally when it comes to facing these big teams.
This offering will miss for a ball, and everybody started heading back towards the dugout except for Phillips, who stands in, and he's looking at a 1-2 count here. So another pitch on the way from Nathan Florence. That'll miss upstairs. Count evens at 2-2. Yeah, realistically, you look at the laundry list that you mentioned for the Mariners, it's got to go something like rest up the pitching and get a couple of these guys that have been a little bit slower here towards the tail end of the season going again, including Chris Newell, who had the ground out, just trying to get his bat back as good as it was when he was selected to the 2021 Cape League All-Star teams. This next pitch misses in the dirt, and the count goes full on Dylan Phillips.
Especially when it's especially impressive when you have these guys who come in late and then they still make the All-Star team with 2 weeks less played than everybody else.
Yeah, the averages really did help the Mariners as this pitch is fouled away here by Phillips. And Phillips is another guy that, man, you get the feeling he showed up a couple of weeks sooner. He might have been the Mariners' 10th All-Star. You never know.
I mean, it's hard to it's hard to believe that he wasn't one with the numbers that he's been putting up.
Of course, the Harwich Mariners had the most All-Stars in the East. 9 for the Mariners, 9 for the Bourne Braves out in the West. Easily the two best teams in that regard as this pitch misses just outside. And Dylan Phillips, good piece of patient hitting here, reaches for a 2-out walk. That'll bring up Carter Putz.
Well, he's just another big power threat for these Mariners, very similar to Brock Wilken in that he can go out and get you a home run anytime he's at the dish, but he's also good for a walk every now and then as well. Of course, something to be cautious of is always a strikeout pitch, but Phillips, he's exhibited a lot of great patience so far this year with the Mariners.
It's also a much different approach for this Harwich team, obviously, but also for the Orleans Firebirds, who were eliminated from playoff contention a couple of days ago. And it's just a much more laid-back, kind of playing-it-out mentality that you see these guys have now that their season is effectively over. A couple of more games left to go, including one with the Mariners tomorrow, as Putz fouls off the first pitch he sees.
No, and, it's been a long summer. It's been a long season. A lot of guys come straight from playing in the College World Series to playing a full season here on the Cape. So you have to imagine, while there's competitive spirit in all of these guys, and that goes without question, it has to feel good to be able to get back to where you're familiar with soon.
Certainly does. Swing and a miss here as Putz falls behind 0-2. And there is definitely something to be said for that grind. You come out of the collegiate season, you go to a summer league. A lot of these guys are cooked by the time August comes around. I mean, you see teams almost enthusiastic to go home in some cases. That has never been something that can be said of any of Steve Englert's groups. He has always got this team competing and ready to go. As this pitch is fouled away back towards the hill off to the right side, Putz stays alive at 0-2.
Yeah, and, having a good group of guys is a big part of that. You want to have teammates if you're a player who you can associate more so with, and having a good coaching staff helps to kind of set the tone, set the culture from the get-go, and helps guys to rally around certain ideologies from the start of the season, makes them want to stay together longer. And I think that's something that this Mariners coaching staff does a great job of.
And one thing we hear, too, a lot of these guys do make lifelong friends here on the Cape. As this pitch misses down low, that'll be the first ball issued to Putz, who is working his way back into this count at 1-2.
And it's not even just on the field, the people they make friends with. These host family relationships that these players have with their host families, those will last a lifetime, too. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see, some weddings with some host families attending as well down the line at some point.
Certainly not out of the question as Putz chops this one to third. It'll be scooped up by Locklear. He'll go the short way to second, and the inning is retired for this half. We head to the home half of inning number 1. Still knotted up 0-0. You're listening on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Eldridge Park here in Orleans, Massachusetts. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley as we get set for the home half of inning number 1. Orleans Firebirds. Nothing but fun to play for here for these next couple of days. Here's the lineup they'll be putting out, we think. Leading things off will be Jared McKenzie, followed by second baseman Peyton Chatinier, right fielder Chase DeLauder, and third baseman Tyler Locklear in the cleanup spot today. Batting fifth, it'll be first baseman Trey Harmon, followed by left fielder Jeff Costello, center fielder Luke Keyshaw, shortstop David Marcano, and catcher Michael Chavis. First pitch is taken for a ball here from Harwich hurler Cam Schlittler, making his first start in quite some time. The Northeastern product has kind of bounced around between the bullpen and a starting role, and good to see him back out there again for another start here, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, last time he played was the loss against Brewster, as that game slipped away from the Mariners, with Brewster coming out in Harwich 4-3, and went 4 innings. So as mentioned, he still does have that starter length in him, but it's about trying to keep down some of the walks and hit numbers. He gave up 4 runs across the 4 innings he pitched and ended up with the loss.
Certainly a rough outing, looking to improve on that. His next offering is swung on and missed for a strike here to the leadoff man in Jared McKenzie. And you get the feeling that's going to be crucial today, trying to keep the bullpen as fresh as possible for the postseason. Any of the guys that start these next couple of days are going to be expected to go pretty deep into these ball games, especially given the current situation in the East, which we'll give you an update on here in just a moment. But for now, Schlittler rocks back into the windup. The righty kicks and fires. He gets a swing and a miss, strike 3. And the first man he faces, Jared McKenzie, goes down swinging.
Well, that's what you want to see out of Cam Schlittler to start this game, is sit the first guy down, don't let him get on base, and do it with a strikeout, not just a ground out. Kind of set the tone as the pitcher early on and start getting into these Firebirds' heads.
So he will now face off against Peyton Chatinier, the second baseman for the Firebirds today. That'll give us an opportunity to set the defense here for the Harwich Mariners. Brendan Tinsman gets the start behind the dish, calling balls and strikes. It'll be Dylan Phillips at first, Matt McDermott at second, Zach Preisner your shortstop, and Josh Hood at third today as the first pitch misses here for a ball to Chatinier. In the outfield, it's Jake Lazaro in left, Chris Newell in center, and Press Kavanaugh out in right. Chatinier stands in here with a 1-0 count. Here comes the pitch. That'll be fouled away to even the count at 1-1.
And as keen fans may have picked up on, no Levens, no Wilkin today for the Mariners.
Couple of guys getting a much-deserved break at this point in the year. Obviously, guys that got the Mariners into this position where we have found a way for the M's to secure a playoff spot. 4 games remaining. This ball chopped to third. It'll be scooped up by Hood, turns and throws across the diamond in time for out number 3.
That's a nice grab by Phillips over at first. I mean, that ball nearly reaching over his head, but nice presence of mind to be able to keep his foot on the bag and stretch up to record the out.
I will bring up Chase DeLauder, one of the better bats in this lineup. And really, you look at the talent that this Orleans team has, it's kind of a shame that they flared out the way that they did later in the season. This is an Orleans team that got off to a pretty good start, if you'll remember, and especially against these Harwich Mariners. Harwich does not hold a winning record against Orleans this year. As a matter of fact, they have yet to beat the Firebirds. 0-2-1 against Orleans. Of course, a home and home here to close out the season. Schlittler delivers the next pitch. That'll be fouled away. So he'll go back to work.
Yeah, I mean, this was an Orleans team that at the start of the year had one of the best infields you could possibly ask for in Jace Young and Jordan Sprinkle, as that pitch misses outside. And of course, Team USA, I think you have to argue it really hit the Firebirds hardest, because it really hurt to lose those 2 guys right up the middle who were giving Harwich the most difficulties they've had all year.
Yeah, no, it certainly did. And that's kind of what we talk about as Schlittler gets this one across for a called strike. Harwich is one of the few teams that almost got better after the draft in Team USA. Up until the last week where they lost 2 critical starters in that rotation, Harwich was looking pretty good. So this next offering will miss outside, and I believe the count goes here 2-3-2. And it does, in fact, go full here on Chase DeLauder. Schlittler working out of the windup. Base is empty. He'll rock into it. The Northeastern Husky kicks and fires, and that ball's going to be flared out into center field. That'll get down in front of Chris Newell. And Firebirds have a runner aboard with 2 away. That'll bring up Tyler Locklear. Locklear, the third baseman today for Orleans. And you never know. If Schlittler comes back and has a good performance here, we could potentially see him starting a game in the playoffs. You never know with how short Harwich is in that rotation. They do have 3 solid guys, but that's kind of the situation you get yourself into is, okay, so assuming things go perfectly well for you, you throw Dombrowski in one of those games, you throw Raiselman in one of those games, you throw Giesting in one of those games. None of those guys are going to be ready to pitch again for a while, so who slots in for that 4th game?
Yeah, it's a question that this next week is going to be very telling because you have this whole week to kind of figure it out and still give guys time to rest before you have to play that potential first game of a championship series or second game, depending on how that first series goes. So this is really going to be a telling time. Harwich still has that to play for.
That they certainly do. Schlittler's 1-1 offering is swung on and missed. That'll make it a 1-2 count here on Tyler Locklear. And that's the thing for Harwich. You feel like it really is critical that if they do win the East and find a way to go to the championship series, it is almost critical that they do it in 2 instead of 3.
I mean, it feels like that's always the case with a lot of these teams because saving arms at the end of the season is so important. I mean, you lose one pitcher on an innings limit this season, and who's to say how many more we may lose down the stretch here? You know, it's not for certain that's done yet as this ball's fouled off.
Yeah, and Harwich, I mean, they had one of the most unfair rotations in the Cape League back in 2019. You look at the guys that they had, Jacob Polish, Connor McCullough. Of course, you had Connor Seckler, who departed late that season, and Carson Seymour. That was an unhittable group of guys, and they had so many options. This year's team really does have those 2 lockdown starters. Giesting has been very good in his own right, but beyond that, it's just been a little bit rough as this one's going to come off the back of Tyler Locklear. That'll put runners on first and second. Tim, you thought you might have had a play on that.
Yeah, if it wasn't for this netting.
Always the netting. So hit by pitch puts runners on first and second for Trey Harmon.
Yeah, not the way that Schlittler would have liked this inning to go, of course. You're able to get the 2 out pretty quickly, a strikeout and a ground out, but a hit and then a hit batter. And this inning's extending a bit, and for Schlittler, you just got to buckle down and get this last out.
And to make matters worse, he hits him with a 1-2 count. Never want to hit somebody when you're up trying to get that strikeout. First offering here, swung on and tipped back into the glove of Tinsman by Trey Harmon. Of course, Harwich has a number of questions to answer, but for the most part, the lineup not among them. Mariners probably in a position at this point in the season where even if they do have their best 9 in the lineup, they're still going to have a couple of really good players sitting on that bench.
Yeah, I mean, this is for sure one of the deepest lineups in the Cape this summer.
Another foul tip here from Harmon.
I mean, I know we've mentioned it time and time again, but 5 all-stars that slot into this lineup, each of which who are still around for these Mariners. And, you know, you get guys at the back who are getting hot at just the right time for this team. And so to be able to couple all of that together going into the postseason is really lethal against any pitching staff.
And finally able to figure out the one pitching staff they hadn't been able to solve in the Brewster Whitecaps. Schlittler sets, looks the runner back to second. The 0-2 pitch, swung on and chopped to short, should be easy pickings for Preisner, who turns and throws to first in time to retire the side. So, 5 up, 3 down, no score through this first inning. We'll take a break. When we come back to the second we go. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley. It'll be Josh Hood, Zach Preisner, and Brendan Tinsman due up next for the M's. As, again, for Harwich, trying to sort things out here at the end of the season. They've already clinched a playoff spot. Big swing and a ball tipped foul by Josh Hood here. And there are already a couple of finals to report in the CCBL, including one that does have implications for Harwich. The Brewster Whitecaps get a 4-0 victory over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. So you do the math on that, you look at where things stand right now. The only way Harwich could clinch home field, as this one is across for a called strike to Hood, is if they win out and the Whitecaps lose their next two, which would be their final two of the season. That's the only way mathematically that the Mariners could get back to that first spot. Of course, anything other than a victory here today would lock that up for the Whitecaps, who did prematurely tweet that they were the Kings of the East. That is not, in fact, factually accurate.
Granted, you give them a pass. This whole points per game thing this year.
Of course.
There's been a lot of false alarms in regards to clinches and whatnot. So, it's a tough look.
1-2 to Hood. That'll miss outside. To be fair, Tim, you and I have basically been doing the math for the entire league down the home stretch of the season. We've had guys in our DMs from all 9 other broadcast teams for the most part asking what needs to happen for them to either stay alive or find a way to clinch as Hood smashes this one foul down the third base line.
Yeah, it's been really interesting talking to all these other broadcast staffs, figuring out, working through it, and working through all the different scenarios on a point-per-game basis, and never mind the fact that, Wednesday's looking rainy and what kind of wrench that may throw into things. So, really, I won't be certain of anything until the final day of the season.
Shouldn't affect too much down the stretch as Hood watches this one in, and that'll make the count, I believe, even at 2-2.
Of course, that race for the West is still interesting, especially with Katuitt down right now against the Bourne Braves and Falmouth getting ready to face off against the Gatemen.
Yep, of course, Katuitt could clinch that final playoff spot out in the West with a victory today or with a Falmouth loss, so we'll be sure to keep an eye on that. The other final already today, the YD Red Sox 8-1 over the Chatham Anglers. Payoff pitch, that'll miss down and away, and Hood is aboard here with a leadoff walk. We don't see that a whole lot, but Josh Hood patiently waits out a walk, and the Mariners have the leadoff man aboard here in the second inning.
Yeah, that's really the one part of his efforts at the plate this year that you'd probably want to see a bit more of, or the walk numbers, seeing those go up. So great to see the discipline from him. He's on first base, and that's what you got to do as the leadoff guy in any inning.
We talked about a lot of guys that have been trying to kind of figure things out, guys that Coach E has in the lineup today, trying to really get on a roll heading into the postseason. One guy that's already found that and doesn't even give me any time to talk about it, lacing one down the third base line, rushing it to first. Is he there in time? He's not. They were going to call out Zach Preisner, and that's really one of the first times that he has recorded an out in quite some time, as Tyler Locklear makes a very athletic play, and that'll bring Brendan Tinsman to the plate. But I do want to finish that thought, because Zach Preisner has been tearing the cover off the ball as of late. In his last couple of games, he is 10 for 16, 4 RBIs, 7 runs scored, 2 doubles, a home run, 5 walks, and only 3 strikeouts.
It's so important to get a guy in the back of the lineup who's then able to step up and have a significant at-bat. And even then, you're thrown out at first. You move the guy along, and there's still one out in the inning with a guy in scoring position. That's still putting your team in a good position to succeed.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Harwich does have Preisner batting down in the 9-hole for the postseason run, I mean, that's just kind of speaks to how good this lineup is. Standing in now is Brendan Tinsman, who again has that on-base percentage over 500. He'll take a ball here. Second pitch of his at-bat. And Tinsman, another one of those guys that may not even be in the lineup. He may just be a potential guy who could come in as a pinch hitter, but you look at his numbers, and it doesn't really reflect that that's the kind of role he might be in. He has been so good for the Mariners since joining the team. He swings at a pitch that misses low here for a strike.
No, I mean, you have to feel confident keeping a guy like this in your back pocket. Say he's not in the starting lineup, as you mentioned, for a playoff game. You have a guy who's maybe having a bit of a slump, 0-for-3 or what have you, and you bring a guy like Tinsman in who's known to get on base. You have to feel confident putting him in a position like that.
Count is 1-2. This ball popped high in the air. This one will be playable. Harmon comes over, reaching up, can't make the catch. And he dropped it right over there by the Orleans dugout. That'll even the count at 2-2 on Tinsman.
tried to trace it over and make a basket catch on it, but those are sometimes the trickier catches to make because you're not lining up the ball with your glove in the same line of sight. You're kind of keeping your glove in front of you and hoping it's in the right spot as you try to track the ball above you. And so an unfortunate play there for the first baseman, Harmon, but for Harwich, you keep it just one out in this inning.
So the Mariners looking to capitalize. They have Josh Hood on second. Brendan Tinsman at the plate with a 2-2 count. Ready for the next pitch here from Nathan Florence. He'll foul it away. And Tim Florence, one of those guys, I mean, again, late part of the season, doesn't really make too big of an impact here on the Orleans 2021 campaign. What can you tell us about Nathan Florence?
Well, Florence, last time we saw him was actually one of the last time these two teams played in that game that ended in a 2-2 tie back on July 19th. Didn't get that much action, or pardon me, not on July 19th. It was rather a 2-2 tie on July 14th as that ball gets away. Florence only pitched 2/3 of an inning, gave up 1 run, walked a batter, struck out 2. So for him, another one of these guys, as again, this is the trend we're seeing across the Cape. You have bullpen guys who are slotting into starting roles, and teams are just kind of rolling with them and seeing what can happen. And this is another case here in Florence.
Yep, and one last chance to impress some scouts here on the Cape before taking a much-deserved break through the fall and the winter before hitting it again on the other side of things. Here comes the pitch. That'll miss down, and it's a full count here to Brendan Tinsman. Again, Tinsman's been getting on base seemingly at will so far this year. Mentioned that on-base percentage of over 500. Adds to that a batting average over 300, and every time his bat's in the lineup, he finds ways to make something happen. Here he'll chop one to third, should be easily playable, picked up by Locklear, and that's going to be completely mishandled and miscommunicated. They sail that. They did get the tag out at second base of Josh Hood for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, well, that's a situation where you almost have to credit Josh Hood for keeping the inning alive because he created some chaos on the base paths on his way to third. He kind of stuttered, stopped, went back and forth a little bit, and finally Marcano applied the tag and then rushed the throw over to first. And so as a result, you have Tinsman now safe on the fielder's choice, and this brings up Jake Lazaro.
And again, our apologies for the chaos there, but anything off to that left side, we're kind of leaning here at Eldridge Park just a bit to try to see what's going on.
We're just guessing what's going on over there, to be honest with you.
Oh, plenty of context clues. First pitch missing here to Jake Lazaro. Count will start off at 1-0.
That's not even to mention the scoreboard.
Yes. What scoreboard? Pitch on the way. And this one is skied up but foul down that left field line back onto the road.
I'm yet to see a car on Route 28 get hit with a fly ball, but I think today might be the day. I don't know. I'm feeling it.
I'd have to confirm with our custodian of records, Colin Casey. I think we may have seen a car get hit back in 2019. Not 100% sure, but I feel like we definitely have had a couple of cars get hit in the parking lot at YD, which is definitely less impressive. Always harder to hit a moving target. But yeah, I mean, to your point, for those of you that aren't as familiar with Eldridge Park, right behind where we're sitting, which is effectively right behind home plate here on the first or the third base side, got a highway just right there. Plenty of cars coming and going, plenty of cars rolling the windows down and yelling, "Go Firebirds." And yeah, everybody there in foul territory. Next offering to Lazaro. That'll miss in the dirt. Good stop there by Chavis.
I mean, it's really drive at your own risk. Like, I don't know how I'd react as a driver getting hit by a foul ball.
So the count 2-2 here to Jake Lazaro. Another guy who was pretty heavily involved in the Harwich Mariners' early part of the season. Has since found the lineup less and less, looking to become one of those role guys for the Mariners. Pitch on the way. That'll be swung on, poked out, misplayed over there by Locklear. Throw to first, not nearly in time to get the speedy Lazaro. And Jake Lazaro was aboard with an error.
Yeah, way to leg it out. I mean, that's a situation there where the third baseman Locklear tried to make the play before he really had the ball. And so as a result, Harwich will take it, and the inning continues with now 2 on, and Matt McDermott coming off of a hot game last night up to bat.
Yeah, Matt McDermott, I mean, again, we talked about it quite a bit. He was hitting the ball well. He just couldn't seem to find any holes. I believe he was sitting on an 0 for 18 stretch, number of strikeouts in there as well, and had a really good game last night. And he's looking to continue that here and potentially be another guy Harwich can trust off the bench. Had that big 2 RBI double back in the 6th inning. And his one hit before that, you know, it almost seemed a little bit fluky, but sometimes that's just what guys need to get going again. Just some kind of a consistent hit, and then you've got it in your head to get it out of your head.
No, it certainly felt like that was the case. You know, he had confidence from that very first at bat, and it just continued throughout the night for him.
Breaking ball to McDermott. That'll miss down. So he'll settle back in again. Count is 1-1.
I think that's just one of the things he needs to focus up on a bit more is, you know, the discipline. Oh, again, you mentioned it, a lot of strikeouts. And so just watching a lot of these pitches, seeing them go, you know, just kind of working these counts a bit.
Sirens in the distance right behind us. McDermott swings and misses. Got a fire truck. I'm sure you can hear it at home. Can't be easy for the pitcher or the batter right now.
Who do you think that favors more?
It's got to be the pitcher, you would think. But again, I don't really know. It's one of those 50-50 deals that you just have to deal with. 1-1 to McDermott, or 1-2 rather, and he'll watch that go by for strike 3. So Harwich gets a couple on, can't find a way to bring anybody across to score. We go to the home half of inning number 2. Still scoreless from Eldridge here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley as we get set for the home half of inning number 2. And up to bat is Jeff Costello. Fouls away the first pitch he sees. Count starts off at 0-1.
You know, and if you're Schlittler, you want to see a sustained presence this inning. He had a good start to last inning, 2 quick outs, got away from him a little bit, so try to lock down all 3 outs this time around.
Next offering from Schlittler will miss low. Count goes to 1-1. Schlittler rocks back into the windup, brings home the next pitch. That's going to miss inside. Count goes to 2-1, and we do have confirmation now, Tim. Luke Keyshaw is, in fact, standing in the on-deck circle. Had a bit of a question about that. But it is Keyshaw who will be batting in that 8 holes. This ball is going to be chopped to third, scooped up by Hood. Throw to first in time, 1 away.
Yeah, not all too often we get too many mix-ups with the lineup, especially when they're put out at 12 in the morning. But, you know, bit of a mishap today, and maybe not even just a mishap, just a change. You know, some guys maybe not feeling well on any given day, and so happens. Lineup changes happen, and so glad we're able to report to you the right guy.
Yep, the bat that has been taken out of the lineup is Justin Mickness. He is replaced by Luke Keyshaw, who stands in from the right side. First pitch to him, misses down and away here from Schlittler, who falls behind again. Not to say that the trends always end up working out this way, but a lot of short games have been played here at Eldridge Park in 2021.
Yeah, it seems like every single time we look at the out-of-town scoreboard, Orleans is out of there in a hurry. It's always some low-scoring affair with the YD Red Sox, I feel.
Seen a lot of 1-1 ties between Whitey and Orleans as this ball is smacked into left field. Back to the fence. It's off the wall. It'll one hop in front of Lazaro in left, turning and heading for second. And in with a slide safely is Luke Keyshaw. It's a one-out double for the Firebirds, and they are in business here in the second.
Well, there's that outfielder speed for you. I think if that's anybody else trying to turn that into a double with the way that Lazaro was able to play it off the fence, I think they'd be caught at second, but good running from Keishel, and now Orleans with a runner on second. Scoring position here with only one out.
Yep, and that'll bring up David Marcano. And he actually got fortunate. It rolled up and off of a banner right to him. So no concern there. Lazaro able to pick it up and throw it in. A good tag applied by McDermott at second, but not in time to get the speedy Luke Keyshaw. Runner in scoring position here for the Firebirds. First pitch. Check swing. They will appeal. They say he did not go. So David Marcano is ahead in the count, 1-0. Sun starting to set back behind the school building up at the top of the hill right now. Entire field covered in shade. Gorgeous night for baseball. Here on a Monday evening on the Cape, about 80 degrees and sunny. First pitch.
Yeah, it's really telling. We come here at the beginning of the season. It's a sellout crowd as much as you can sell out a free baseball game, but the hill is completely lined with fans, and we come back right at the end and the exact same picture. It's really amazing to see just the support that this league has and how dedicated its fans are.
2-0 misses up and away. That'll make it a 3-0 count here on David Marcano. And yeah, it's especially good to see. Obviously, a lot of people that come to visit the Cape, it's kind of a spectacle. It's something you go see, not because you're a fan of the team, but because you want to see the Cape League. But still good to see the hill is filled for a Firebirds team that has already been eliminated from playoff contention this year. Still getting the good attendance. A couple of final opportunities. Matter of fact, this is the final opportunity as Cam Schlittler walks Marcano on 4 pitches. That'll bring up Michael Chavez, but this is the last home game here at Eldridge Park.
Yeah, one of the more iconic fields in the league, and this is their send-off for the season. And it's, you have to imagine it's just been a successful season, bounce-back season, to say, after missing 2020 with the way that attendance has been sustained around the league all season long. I mean, I remember opening day, it was more than double in 2021 what it was in 2019, and I don't think we've really seen the crowd size dwindle all that much across the season.
No, from opening day to the final week, it has been good across the league at all 10 ballparks, which is certainly what you want to see if you are the CCBL. Michael Chavez at the plate. Schlittler's first offering, he squares to bunt. Pulls it back in time to take ball one, and he did get a note from his third base coach. Clearly that was the memo, trying to slide those runners over to second and third. It's been a while since Cam Schlittler put one in the strike zone. 4-pitch walk to Marcano. He starts off Chavez 0-1, or 1-0 rather. See if he can settle in, bring one here, checks the runner back to second, brings home the pitch. And that's called strike at the knees. Count evens at 1-1.
For a guy like Chavez to come in playing out of Worcester State, a D3 program, plays in the MASCAC, not the greatest conference, in the country, of course. Again, D3, the talent obviously, trending to generally floats upwards in that regard, but to be able to come in here and get the call to play in the Cape Cod Baseball League, quite the opportunity.
A lot of guys upping their stock as Chavez swings through this. Count goes to 1-2. You said the MASCAC?
The MASCAC.
I am not familiar with that.
The Massachusetts State Collegiate Athletic Conference.
All right.
Home of the Fitchburg State Falcons.
Okay.
Go
I was wondering if there was some connection to
Falcons.
Fitchburg State.
Yes, of course. Fitchburg State runners up in the MASCAC this year for the second straight season in baseball. Lost to Westfield State in 2019, came back, went to the championship series again in 2021, and couldn't pull it out against Salem.
But notably, Fitchburg State does produce more Cape League broadcasting talent than any other team in the conference.
That is entirely true, and I am proud to be representing of the conference.
Next offering comes in and gets Chavez, and that will load the bases once again on a 2-strike count. Cam Schlittler puts somebody aboard for free. That'll load him up with 1 away for the top of the order. It's Jared McKenzie up to bat.
And again, it's another inning where you have to feel good. You get the first guy to ground out, but then 3 straight guys are able to get on base, and now you find yourself in a jam, whereas you were in a pretty good spot to open up the inning. So, again, for Schlittler, just about finding that control. A lot of these bases have been for free. 2 hit batters and a walk of the 5 who have gotten on base to this point.
Yep, he's faced the whole order once. He has allowed 5 on base. Not the greatest ratio first time through the order. Now he'll face McKenzie, who he did get with a strikeout to start the game. He'll face him again here. And McKenzie's going to send this one. It'll have a chance to fall, and it will. That's going to score 1. They'll go ahead and wave the runner. Now they'll hold him up, and that's wise because Newell picked that up and was ready to deliver a strike home. But it's a RBI single for Jared McKenzie, and the Firebirds strike first. They're up 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's been a tough inning here for Schlittler. 2 hits, walk, and a hit batter. You know, and there's always a chance to step up and try to lock it down, as Coach Grunberg's going to have a chance now to go out and talk to his pitcher.
And it's a tough spot to be in because typically, I mean, again, you have a guy struggling like this, you would think about maybe making that call to the bullpen, maybe bringing somebody else in, but it's really not what you want if you are the Harwich Mariners, because trying to conserve as many of these arms as possible, especially some of the better arms for the playoff push that'll be coming up later this week. Playoffs beginning on Friday. We don't know the order of who will be home, who will be away, but we do know it'll take place between the Harwich Mariners and the Brewster Whitecaps. And speaking of the Brewster Whitecaps, let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. A couple of finals all ready to pass along to you. The Whitecaps get a 4-0 victory over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, who have done the Mariners 0 favors down the home stretch, losing all of their games to Brewster and YD, the 2 teams that the Mariners were hoping to gain some ground on. The Bourne Braves are up 8-1 on the Katuitt Cavaliers, who again can win or can clinch that second playoff spot in the West with a victory or a Falmouth Commodores loss. But the good news for them, the Commodores trail it right now 2-0 to the Wareham Gatemen. We'll be sure to keep you up to date on everything going on around the league. And with that second playoff spot out in the West that is still up for grabs right now. Of course, Wareham has already been eliminated from playoff contention as Peyton Chatinier takes the first pitch here for a called strike. At this point, they're just trying to play spoiler for their most hated foe out in the West.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of teams play for that. Plenty of teams play for pride towards the end of a season. You know, you can never count a team out just because they may have been eliminated.
0-1 pitch, fouled away here by Chatinier, who falls behind 0-2. And that really is, I mean, that is kind of the premier rivalry out in the West. We talk about Orleans and Chatham kind of being the top rivalry in the East. Out in the West, it's those two. They're not, there's no love lost between those organizations. Between Wareham and Falmouth, of course, the 2 furthest west teams in the CCBL. 0-2 from Schlittler. Swung on, chopped down the third base line, but foul. Count will stay right where it is.
No, and that's the thing, that year in and year out, no matter what the roster turnover may be, you know, there always will be those classic rivals. You know, the organizations just, it seems to just somehow just transcend from year to year.
Yep, those rivalries, they just start coming and they keep on coming. Chatinier, the 0-2, fouls it off again. Of course, here on the Cape, so much to do, so much to see. Chatinier again trying to make something happen. Bases loaded here for the Firebirds. Chase DeLauder stands on deck. Schlittler ready with another 2-strike pitch, trying to get himself out of this jam. Still needs 2 outs to do so. And a swing and a miss. That'll be strike 3 of Peyton Chatinier, who is retired for out number 2.
Yeah, for Schlittler, you know, what's happened in this inning has already happened. All you can do is forget about it and move forward, and that's a good way to bounce back, throw a strikeout, get a guy to go down swinging, and you have to try to continue it from there.
So that will bring up Chase DeLauder, one of the better bats in this lineup for the Firebirds, looking to avoid making the final out here in the inning. The pitch. A little excuse me swing, tipped foul back to the screen here. And of course, there are bricks lining the backstop here at Eldridge Park. There is a crash pad there that'll deaden the blow some, but a ball can still skip off of that and right back to the catcher. So if something does get past Tinsman here, there is an opportunity for a potential play at the plate with the bases loaded. This ball is going to be popped up. That'll stay inside the fence. Not quite getting out to the road behind us. And the count goes to 1-2. 0-2. Tyler Locklear standing in the on-deck circle. Schlittler's next offering swung on and missed, and can't advance to first. Easy enough for Tinsman to step on home plate, and that will finally retire the side here. Orleans strikes for one, but leaves them loaded. More baseball from Eldridge Park. When we come back, you're listening here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry, Tim Foley. It'll be Press Kavanaugh, Chris Newell, and Dylan Phillips to lead things off here for the M's. They now trail it 1-0. But the Firebirds strand them loaded. Something they've had kind of an issue with this year. Stranding runners on base, stranding guys in scoring position, especially down this home stretch. It seems like that really was what kind of did them in. As Kavanaugh takes the first pitch for a ball here. Next offering on the way. That'll miss low. Count goes to 2-0.
And this is an Orleans team that does hit the ball well. I mean, despite being one of the lower teams in the East, they lead the league in slugging, so they're able to hit the ball pretty well.
Yeah, they've been able to square up and make good contact. It's just a matter of stringing those hits together. So after a called strike, count goes to 2-1 here on Press Kavanaugh. Offering on the way, and he'll foul this away to even it up at 2 apiece.
And get ready for a long at-bat here is Kavanaugh with 2 strikes. He knows how to foul off a pitch like the pros. In all honesty, this is a guy who sees it so well and hits for contact great and knows how to defend the zone.
Press Kavanaugh currently the reigning leader in the batting title race, although he could start his day 0 for 2. Barely able to keep his foot on the bag is Harmon at first as he grounds out to Marcano to 1 away.
Yeah, we've seen that a few times where either shortstop or third baseman will overthrow the first baseman, and as they reach up to make the catch, they take their foot off the bag. So a heads-up play by Harmon, having the presence of mind to keep the foot down and use all of that frame he's got over there. Harmon, a pretty tall guy, 6'4", 245, so he can really reach for it if he wants to, and he did there.
So that brings up Chris Newell, 1 away here in the inning. First offering to him. That'll be off the backstop here, and that'll rocket its way about halfway between the dugout and the baseline. Dylan Phillips in the on-deck circle right now, getting warm for Harwich. Mariners working their way through One of the last games of the regular season. Offering the Newell in there for a called strike. That'll leave it up at 1-1. Again, Newell trying to get back on the right side of things. His only hit since his return was a big one. It was a home run. So line this one right back towards the Harwich dugout.
And, you know, sometimes with these guys coming back from injury or whatever it may have been, it's all about just trying to find your space mentally again, as opposed to making sure your mechanics are good.
Gets a breaking ball that's in there for a called strike 3, and Newell knew it as he heads right back to the dugout. That is the second strikeout on the day for Nathan Florence, and that'll bring up Dylan Phillips. Again, Phillips, another one of those guys that's been having a good year, and we're talking a little bit about the race for the batting title right now. Press Kavanaugh hitting a cool .347, leading the way. Tres Gonzalez of Wareham hitting .339 behind him. Ritter of Kitsui at .325. Chase Elliott of Hyannis, of all teams, at .322. And then Armstrong of Falmouth at .321. And any one of those guys could feasibly raise their average or drop their average to claim that crown. From what we were hearing from Elizabeth Layton of the Harwich Mariners, no Mariner has won the award at any point. So this could potentially be the first time as strike one taken in by Dylan Phillips.
Yeah, and we're at a point now where you only have 3 games left in the season. It's going to take a wild swing of games to be able to try to take that title away from Kavanaugh at this point with the way he's been swinging the bat and with the kind of lead that he currently has on the rest of the pack.
Count even at 1-1 here to Dylan Phillips. Pitch on the way. Phillips skies this one up in the air out to shallow right center. That'll drop right into the mitt of Chatinier for the third out of the inning. So we will step away. When we come back to the home half of the third we go. You're listening here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube Network.